Hey everyone, welcome back to Deep Dive Discoveries. I'm your host, Jamie, and today we're heading deep underground into one of the coolest science stories of the century. In the depths of South Africa's earth, beneath ancient rock and time, lay the remains of a mystery, a species of human unlike any we've known. This is the story of a discovery that changed how we see ourselves and what it means to be human. It's the discovery of Homo Naledi. It's October 2013. Deep in South Africa's Rising Star Cave system, two cavers, Rick Hunter and Steve Tucker, are squeezing through narrow, jagged passages with nothing but their headlamps and guts to guide them. They're in the cradle of humankind, a place that's seen millions of years of history. But what they find, it stops them cold. Lying in a secret chamber, deeper than anyone's gone before, are scattered bones. Lots of them. They snap a few grainy photos, blurry, dusty, shadowy, and send them off to a paleontologist named Lee Berger. Now Lee, he's no stranger to big discoveries. He's found lost human species before. So when he sees these photos, he freezes. His heart's racing. He knows bones, and he knows these. They're not modern human. The shape, the size, something's different. Could this be a new species? But then, bad news. The chamber is 30 meters underground, and to get there, you have to slide through a narrow gap, only 25 centimeters wide. Lee, he can't fit. So what does he do? He goes online. Seriously, he logs onto Facebook and posts a message that basically says, "Hey, are you small? A tough as nails scientist who doesn't mind crawling through the dark, terrifying caves? Great, I need you." And guess what? 6 incredible women step forward, experts in caving, climbing, and archaeology. Fearless, skilled, ready for anything. And they become known as the Underground Astronauts. And their mission? To go where no one else can, and unlock a mystery that's been hiding in the earth for tens of thousands of years. On November 10th, 2013, the adventure really began. The underground astronauts geared up for a mission that sounded something out of a sci-fi movie. Their job, to reach a secret chamber buried deep inside South Africa's Rising Star Cave system. But this wasn't a stroll through a cavern with headlamps and hiking boots. To even get to the fossils, they had to squeeze their bodies through tight cracks only around 20 to 50 centimeters wide. Just barely the width of a sheet of paper laid sideways. Then, after shimmering through jagged rock and sliding down tunnels, they had to drop 12 meters straight down into the earth through a narrow vertical shaft. Imagine being deep underground, surrounded by total darkness. That space is called the Naledi chamber. And here's the wild part. It was completely sealed off from the outside world. There was no obvious natural entrance, no flowing water, no signs of animals falling in by accident. So how did these bones, from at least 15 different individuals of different ages and sexes, even end up there in the first place? The only explanation? They were placed there on purpose. And what the team found blew their minds, and the scientific community's minds as well. Scattered throughout the chamber were 1,550 fossil fragments, including over 150 teeth. There were bones from young children, teenagers, adults, and elders, all placed within this hidden tomb. But after examining the remains, scientists realized they had discovered a brand new species of ancient human, Homo Naledi. They weren't modern humans, but they weren't apes either. They were something entirely different, a species with small brains, but human-like hands and feet. a species that lived hundreds of thousands of years ago, yet may have been burying their dead in a sacred space. But here's the biggest bombshell. The way the bones are placed in the cave, there was no sign of animals dragging them in, no random scattering. It looked deliberate, like a burial. Until then, only modern humans and Neanderthals were thought capable of such symbolic acts. If true, this would mean Homo Naledi practiced early forms of ritual, a huge deal for a species with such a tiny brain. To get those bodies into the chamber, they would have needed to carry or lower them in the dark, suggesting they knew the space had a special meaning. Some even think they saw death as something more than just the end. Researchers also found engravings and marks on the cave walls, which might be early forms of symbolic art, maybe even a storytelling or ritual. Charcoal signs of fire use nearby raise another big question. Did they use fire to light the cave and carry out those acts? If so, that means they weren't just smart, they're creative and resourceful, possibly using tools, building shelters, and navigating their world with purpose. In the end, Homo Naledi wasn't our direct ancestor, but they're one of the most important discoveries in recent times. With their strange blend of ancient and modern traits, they force us to rethink what it really means to be human. Here's the big idea. For a long time, we thought of human evolution as a straight ladder, one species giving rise to the next, leading us up, Homo sapiens at the top. But Homo Naledi throws a wrench in that. Their mix of traits, like having a small brain but showing signs of symbolic behavior, maybe even burying their dead, tell us that human-like qualities didn't just belong to our direct ancestors. Instead of a ladder, evolution is starting to look more like a branching tree. Lots of human species existed at the same time, and each had their own way of surviving, thinking, and maybe even feeling. So when we say they forced us to rethink what it means to be human, we're talking about big, deep questions. For example, is being human about brain size? Is it about using tools, making art, or having rituals? Is it about empathy, memory, culture? If Homo Naledi had some of these traits, even without a big brain, then maybe humanity isn't just about biology. Maybe it's about behavior, meaning, and shared experiences. And for the second part of that sentence, who gets to be part of our story, that's even more powerful. For years we left out species like Homo Naledi and treated them as footnotes, but now they're helping to reshape our origin story. If they're part of the human family, even if they aren't our grandparents, so to speak, their story reminds us that we didn't evolve alone. We're just one branch on a big, messy, beautiful tree. And maybe, just maybe, those other branches had stories worth telling too. The bones in that cave are not just fossils. They are questions. They are possibilities. They are a mirror held up to our past. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this story, hit subscribe, and join us as we explore more hidden stories from our human journey. Thank you.